guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. I was kind of hesitant on doing this video, but I figured because I did speak about Twin Peaks when it first came back on air, and then talked about it like roughly halfway through and how I was feeling, that I would tell everyone how I feel about the finale. And also, this is going to be very spoiler heavy, so if you haven't finished episodes 17 and 18, I recommend you do that before watching this. So, my opinion kind of hasn't changed. There was a few episodes between, I guess like the last time I spoke to you guys and 17 and 18 that I thought were really good. I think actually right after I made that video, I had watched an episode and I was really like, wow, this was a good episode. They answered some questions, you know, there was some interesting stuff going on, whatever. And I was like, I wish more of the episodes were like this. And I understand not every episode can be this grand slam or can, you know, pull a story along really fast or whatever. So I get it. I understand there's pacing and stuff and there's 18 episodes. So, anyhow, that being said, I thought episode 17 was going to be this past weekend. Then I think I asked my friend, oh, there's only 2 episodes left, huh? So I guess next weekend's it. And he goes, no, it's a double booking. They're doing both on one night, back to back. And I was like, oh crap. So I was excited, and I was off Monday for Labor Day, so it just was cool to stay up late and, you know, watch whatever the hell I wanted or whatever, not have to worry about going to work. And 17 was a pretty good episode, I thought. I liked a lot happened. You know, I thought some of it was very goofy, because, again, as I said, if you didn't watch 17 and 18, I recommend you don't watch this, but, you know, those people that are in the jail downstairs or whatever that are locked up come out because they're trying to save them. I'm going to make sure this phone doesn't fall. Yeah, it's pretty good. They're trying to save them, and the fake Cooper is at the police station, and they pick up on it being him because the real Cooper is now back in his body. That's another one of the qualms I have. It took way too long for Dougie Jones to go away and for the real Cooper to come back. He was the focal point of the show. Dougie Jones was funny for 2, maybe 3 episodes. After that, it was very, very annoying, and it just felt like a piece of the show was just missing. So that bothered me, that they dragged on the Dougie Jones thing for so long, and he was such a boring, silly character that after a while, it's like, I get it. Like, just put Cooper back in the show. You know, I know it's a big build-up, but a big build-up could have been a couple episodes, not like the whole season. So that was annoying. So we get the real Cooper back, which is great. He electrocutes himself and ends up in a coma and wakes up from the coma, and it's him and all this stuff. So whatever, that's fine. That was a good part of it. He ends up calling up the police station while the bad Cooper, or the doppelganger, is there. They realize it's him, and the secretary, the blonde, I don't know why her name is escaping me right now, shoots the bad Cooper, and the good Cooper comes down, and, you know, Bob comes out from, I don't know, the floor in hell or something. It was you know, very abstract-y, but I forget how come Bob manifested himself. I think like someone got killed or something went through the floor. It was something weird. And there's this character who I guess was a boxer that I remember vaguely from one episode having a conversation. I don't even remember why he's locked up, honestly. And I think he got attacked and he killed someone. He had some green hand that was like super powered. It was weird. And he starts punching this like bowling ball that has Bob's face on it, and the bowling ball eventually explodes and Bob dies, or so you think, I guess. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. There's a lot of other things happening that weren't explained. And then they get to episode 18. And I'm going to say this again, all these, like, really long-winded scenes of nothing happening just don't do it for me. Again, it was like a miracle almost that this show, after 26 years, got a 4th season. Most of the people who probably watch this aren't around anymore or don't give a shit. And there's probably new fans in between, and, you know, and there are going to be some people that are around that watch the original runs. But think about that. 26 years later, and you get a whole new season to a big TV series from the 90s. Great. That being said, why are you doing 5-minute, like, scenes of people sitting in a car doing nothing? It's like, you know, it could have been 30 seconds. You know, I get the point. I know what kind of vibe you're going for. That's fine. But this is like minutes of just people sitting there with no dialogue. Or limited dialogue. It's like, okay. So those are my problems, too. The really dead scenes and Dougie Jones being in, you know, 3/4 of the series, or the season, excuse me. So, Cooper finds a way to either go back in time or go to a parallel dimension. I think it's back in time initially, and stop Laura Palmer from being murdered. They start showing some old scenes. This is the end of the show now. They start showing some old scenes from the original series, the original run, and things are changed now because Cooper saves Laura Palmer in the woods, and she doesn't run off and get killed or whatever. Great. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Then he ends up on this long trip with who I assume is the real Diane. By the way, the Asian woman with no eyes who was in the jail cell was actually Diane, and her soul or something was trapped in that body, and that's why she wasn't able to speak, but was trying to warn everyone of things, and eventually she gets freed, and I guess the real Diane goes to the White Lodge. So he's with Diane, who I assume is the real Diane, and they go on this adventure to, I believe it's Odessa, Texas, and they know they're needed there because I think Leland in the White Lodge or the Black Lodge says something to him. I think it's the Black Lodge. And he starts putting together all these, you know, clues. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what the clues were. They sleep together. Well, there's a car scene, which is forever, of nothing. They sleep together with the most, like, weirdest, awkward sex scene I've ever seen, where she's, like, covering his face and doesn't want to look at him, and she's crying, and he's playing with her nipples, and then she's crying some more. And it's like, okay, so that was 5 minutes of that. Then in the morning, he wakes up, and there's a note on the bed that says, or on the nightstand that says, I'm a different person, I can't do this anymore, Richard, I'm sorry, I love you, Linda. Now, I'm like, what does that even mean? So, perfect time for a car alarm to go off. So, I looked this up online because I don't recall what this means, because so much has happened in these 18 episodes that I can't remember every name. There was some point where some character towards the beginning of the season says, remember the names Richard and Linda or something? Okay, so these were these people that lived in, I think, the trailer park that they showed in the beginning of the show. What does that mean to me? I don't know. Are they in Richard and Linda's bodies and they remember who they really are and they're like in an alternate reality? Do they have remnants of Richard and Linda in them and they really are Cooper and Diane? I don't know. It's never explained. There's really no way to pinpoint what the hell is going on, but okay. You don't hear about it again. He then starts driving and sees a diner with the name Judy on it. Judy is one of the evil spirits from the lodge. Supposedly, she was the monkey from Fire Walk With Me, if you saw that prequel. Thank you for letting me in, buddy. I appreciate that. We're pulling up faster so I couldn't get in. Wow, that's really bad glare. Sorry. So, the name Judy is there, and he knows he has to try and stop Judy, or Judy is somehow in control of what's happening, or whatever. Not explained. He gets to the diner, breaks up this sexual harassment that's happening from the patrons to the waitress, asks the waitress for the other waitress's address now, as he has her at gunpoint, because he just saved her from the sexual harassment, shot some guy in the foot, kicked some guy in the nuts. And she gives it to him, and it happens to be Laura Palmer. Except it's not Laura Palmer. It's someone named Carrie Page, who's played by the same actress, and I would assume is Laura Palmer, but with a different memory, or in an alternate reality where deep down she's Laura Palmer, but she's not Laura Palmer really in this alternate reality. So then there's this long-winded, well, he goes and sees her, and then there's a dead body on the chair, not explained. You would assume that this, you know, Laura Palmer, or whatever, pseudo Laura Palmer, is still going through horrible times and had to shoot her boyfriend or someone that tried to rape her or something. She leaves with him, not really knowing who the hell he is, even though he says he's the FBI, but okay. She just leaves. Says, oh, I have to get away anyway because of everything going on. Leaves with him. And there's like a 10-minute scene of them sitting in a car. Just sitting in the car. And this is the kind of shit that bothers me. Because I feel like it's squandered. Not to mention, and I mentioned this before, that there's this whole cast of old characters. Bobby and, what the hell's his name? The guy with the black hair who's bald now with the motorcycle. I can't think of his name. He's in the show. Shelley's in the show. Nothing gets anything. Nothing goes anywhere with these characters. Bobby a little bit. But the only people that get really cool, like, scenes in the show was, I think, Norma and Ed. Because Nadine finally tells Ed, I know you love Norma, just go be with her. It's okay. You don't have to be with me anymore. That was it. That was the only, like, for me in my head, like, tight, wrapped up package that I recall. So, all these characters, Audrey, play minor, almost cameo-type roles that do nothing and go nowhere. Audrey, for instance, she starts dancing in this, in the, whatever that club is called, that bar. And she then wakes up in some weird world. It could be the Black Lodge, it could be the White Lodge. Most likely it's the Black Lodge. Or maybe she's in a coma still and never got out of that coma after the accident. I don't know. And it ends. They never talk about her again. She was supposed to say, what? Guess she's just caught in some limbo? Okay. That's great. So they all these main characters that everyone loved, that had some kind of connection with in some way, none of them really make goddamn difference in this season. They just do nothing. They go nowhere. That's it. It just doesn't matter. So anyhow, back to the ending. They're driving, and he goes, I have to take you home, back to your house. He brings her back to Laura Palmer's house. There's another woman there. It's not Laura Palmer's mother. Laura Palmer's mother, around the same time in the other reality, is trying to destroy the prom picture of Laura Palmer with like a knife and break the glass on the frame and whatever. Okay. It's a different woman at the house. She doesn't recognize them. She doesn't, you know, she doesn't know who, she doesn't know Sarah Palmer, who owned the house previously. Her last name, though, is the same name as the old woman from Fire Walk With Me. Maybe they're related. Maybe it's the same lady, except now she's younger. I don't know. It's not explained. So, Cooper's like frustrated, sort of, or confused. Talks with Laura and says, wait a minute, what year is it? And thinks, okay, I went back in time and saved her, but we're in some reality now where it's the, 20 years prior and somebody else owns the house or whatever. Laura screams at the top of her lungs as her mother calls her name in the distance, and the show ends. You had 26 years to come up with an ending, some sort of ending, because you never thought you'd get a third season. I really doubt you're going to get a fourth. They say that the Showtime downloadable figures were great, but that the ratings weren't that great on TV or whatever. Okay. This was sort of the last hurrah, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to get a fourth season. I didn't expect this to wrap up nicely with a bow in like a package, because I know David Lynch doesn't work that way. For all these people, well, you don't understand David Lynch. Well, you must not have seen his films before. Fuck you, okay? I've seen Elephant Man. I own all these, by the way. Elephant Man, Mulholland Drive, Wild at Heart, Blue Velvet, what's the other one? Lost Highway. Almost all of his, actually, I've seen all of his films. I've seen Naked Lunch. I've seen Eraserhead. I don't like Eraserhead very much, so I didn't purchase it. I don't like Naked Lunch very much, so I didn't purchase it. I've seen all of his movies. Even Inland Empire I own, which I thought wasn't that good. So I understand he works in the abstract. I understand there's metaphors and meanings and dreams and, you know, different waves of consciousness. I get it. I'm not a retard. But don't throw in my face that, oh, you just don't get it. Like, this is some kind of wine you're tasting that I just don't get. It smells like wood. I don't give a fuck. So I didn't expect everything to end up on a happy note. I didn't expect everything to just tie up perfect and, you know, whatever. I thought it was interesting he went back in time or into some alternate reality and saved her. But, so what's going on? Is it all coming back to her now and that's why she's screaming? Someone online in Reddit saw something on 4chan, which is funny, that said, in the beginning of the show, there's a scene, and I don't remember, I remember this, but, you know, it's been years, where Sarah Palmer, the mother, hears Laura screaming as she's sleeping. Obviously, she's been raped. Her father was sleeping with her. This evil entity was doing all these things to her, etc. And she starts going, Laura, Laura, and Laura wakes up screaming. So, supposedly, it's the exact same scream and the exact same Laura, Laura at the end of Season 3. I may have said Season 4 at the beginning of this episode, but I think you guys knew what I meant. There is no Season 4. So, people are saying, well, maybe now it's sort of come full circle, and she's going to wake up at that moment with the mother and continue on and not die. So did the rape happen? Did her dad rape her already? I don't know. Or the evil entity that was controlling her dad? I don't know. So, that's it. That's the end of the show. And I feel like there was a lot of things left unanswered. There was a lot of major characters that had nothing to do with nothing. Like, literally, would just, like, almost walk by in a scene, give a look, and then just, that was it. It's like, okay, well, that was a fucking waste of time. And I was more angry about this and annoyed and upset when it first ended. Now I'm a little calmer, even though I may sound kind of annoyed. One of my friends, Chris, is pissed. I mean, he's like livid. He's like, I wasted 18 hours on this shit. I shouldn't even have bothered. And he sort of said it right. He said, you know, this sort of even painted the first 2 seasons that I really liked to be like, okay, I don't want to watch this again. That's sort of how I feel, because I feel like there was so much nonsensical crap and numbers. There's numbers all over the place that coincide with other numbers. Never explained. There's a time of, like, what, 2:30 on a clock, and that time's on someone's watch at one point. I don't know what that means. There's that junkie girl who's shooting up with her balloon and her kid next to her or whatever, and she starts saying 119. Don't know what that means. Is she from the Black Lodge and the number's backwards? Maybe. Instead of 911 because she needs help? I don't know. There's some kind of numbers on a pole outside, on an electrical pole, that's like someone's address or something. That's showed twice. Okay. I just wanted some sort of ending. They could have said he couldn't save her and, you know, it keeps repeating itself and there's no way to break the cycle. I mean, maybe that's what they were going for. But it was so, like, abstract-y that it just didn't do anything for me at the end. I just had a lot of problems with this season, and I feel like I have the right to, you know? I feel like as a watcher of all of his media and entertainment, I read the Laura Palmer diary his daughter wrote, which I thought was excellent. Fire Walk With Me I own. I thought that was great. I own seasons 1 and 2. It was just, they really took away the charm and the goofiness of the first 2 seasons. They made it very dark, which I get. Fire Walk With Me was very dark. It's not my favorite. I like the goofiness and the silliness of the show. But, okay. And then, like I said, all these characters they did nothing with. And then the ending is just kind of up for interpretation. She's in an alternate reality, she's not in an alternate reality. She's never going to be saved. Maybe she was saved, I don't know. And this was the last, you know, this was the last hurrah, I feel. I don't think he's going to get a season 4, as I said. And it should have just tied something up. I feel like, you know, this And people are like, well, it's his product. And this is what he always wanted, and you know, you should respect that. Okay, it doesn't mean I have to like it though. And I don't know if people are like fooling themselves. Everyone's like, oh, it was perfect, it ended perfectly, it was a masterpiece. I cried. Come on. I mean, you want to see 5 minutes of a guy sweeping a floor? What is that supposed to mean? Do I really have to look that deep in? And here's the other thing, and I've noticed this about myself. I'm a little more cynical than I used to be years ago. Probably years ago when I first watched the show. I'm a little more... I want things to be a little quicker in terms of media, games, movies, because I lack time. So when I watch something, I want to get something out of it. When it's like something I have to like look up and find fan theories on, I find it interesting, but all the theories are, you know, against one another. So it's not like it really, there's no definitive answer. David Lynch isn't going to come out tomorrow and say, oh, by the way, I did this because of this and this meant that. Here's the hint you needed. That ain't going to happen. And Kyle MacLachlan had done a post on, I think, it may have been Twitter, and he said, don't worry, everyone. The show's going to really wrap up and, you know, make sense. Was he lying? Did it wrap up and make sense to him? I don't know. I'd love to know that, because I feel like it didn't. They left it on a cliffhanger. What happens next? If he can't save her, then what? That's it? It ends? She's still in some kind of nightmare, and she now realizes this other woman, Carrie Page, realizes she's Laura, and she's in this horrible, you know, has this horrible soul or horrible life. And then what? If they don't get a season 4, nothing. I was better off with the end of season 2, with Cooper ending up in the Black Lodge, becoming stuck there, and the evil one getting out, because it was a dark ending, but it was interesting, than this ending. And that's the truth. And it has painted the other seasons for me to be kind of like, you know, Tell me what you guys think. I don't mean to be completely negative here, because there are some parts of the season 3 I really liked that I thought showed a lot of really cool things and explained some things, but there was just way too much of the other stuff that I was talking about previously. Please let me know what you think. If we have difference in opinions, just keep it respectful. That's all I ask. You know, you can tell me, you're crazy, it was great, you know, I loved it, it did this and that, and cool. Don't start telling me I'm a fucking moron, because I'm probably not going to respond to you then. But this is my feeling. I feel like my gamut of emotions went. The first episode, I was giddy. I was sitting there with a shit-eating grin, smiling as the you know, na, 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 Twin Peaks theme song came. I was like, oh my god, it's back on TV. This is awesome. To the last episode, me going, what did I waste 18 hours on? What did I just watch? Why didn't any of this tie up? Except Norma and Ed. Thanks, guys, for watching. Let me know what you thought about the end of Twin Peaks Season 3. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.